Good morning, everyone. The Prime Minister wants a Swachh Bharat, a clean India. You want a clean India. We want a clean India. At Daily Dump, we believe that for this to happen, Indians must change their perception and behaviors around waste. When we started Daily Dump in 2006, our vision was to constantly reimagine our relationship with the earth, with each other, and with our urban spaces. Essentially, we are in the mindset changing business. Mindsets about waste, about marginal livelihoods, about whose job it is to take care of waste, about how we can harm less, etc. These are words from Poonam Bir Kasturi, the compost wali, as she calls herself, the founder of Daily Dump. She graduated in product design in 1985 from the National Institute of Design. After working in a small-scale manufacturing unit after college, she set up a craft-based design company called Industry with two other partners. After 5 years, she set up Play and Speak, a proprietorship concern to make products for the home. And meanwhile, she was also the founding faculty of Shristi School of Art, Design and Technology in Bangalore till May 2008. And then she moved on. And the rest, as they say, is history. Daily Dump was awarded Swab Foundation Social Entrepreneur of the Year Award in 2016 in March, and Seed Low Carbon Award in July 2008, apart from receiving several other awards. And about all that, about Daily Dump, let's hear from Poonam herself. Welcome, Poonam, to our CGBMT Simple Talks 9. All the participants are eagerly waiting to hear about this most interesting topic from you, composting the circle of life.
Much, Neelam.
Welcome, Poonam. Yeah, welcome and welcome all the participants.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. It's a real honor to be here. And I must thank Neelam and the School of Simple Living because I've been an admirer of Neelam for many years. I remember she very warmly invited me to her wonderful place and she showed me all the work she was doing in bamboo. And even at that time, I was so in awe of the fact that there was this lady who was working so hard against the mainstream to bring bamboo into people's imaginations and show how important it was. And that story of bamboo still hasn't caught on enough, and Neelam is at the pioneer of that, and I have my deepest respect for her. Thank you, Neelam. It's a pleasure being here with you. And the Neelam had said that since there's lots of you are architectural students, and from the field of architecture. Um, so I want to also see how I can discuss or even present some of the learnings we've had between the connection of our built environments and waste. So I just quickly start with you know sharing with me that there's a common perception that waste actually is not a job of the educated. It seems to be that the way we educate our children and the culture that we have in our country, if you work with waste, you're seen as inferior. And if you translate it and push it a little bit further, we'll all realize that anybody who works a lot with their hands, we see them as inferior. And it's a cultural across the India thing. So my I come from a family where my father was very clear that all work is beautiful and all work deserves respect. And he was an artist, designer, mechanical engineer. And so he trained us to think about work as a wonderful opportunity to learn more about the world. And I think that's the reason why fundamentally I cannot see the difference between waste and any other work. Whereas from the outside perception, it seems like people ask me, how did you get into waste? Like it's something special. But from my inside, I don't see this as anything separate. It's as is in the same bracket of set of problems as say computers or technology or education. It's one more thing, right? And then that's what actually got me the insight that this perception, if it changes, then perhaps we'll have a cleaner city or cleaner country. And then we went back and said, all right, why is it that people don't want to get involved in it? And the reason is A, it is perceived as dirty. B, it is that we think that there's actually a place that everything can just be taken care of. And both things are actually not true. One is it's not dirty. You can make it actually very clean and smell free. So when the first myth that is there is that waste is dirty, smelly, and the technology will handle it. You put it in a machine and it'll get taken care of. So we started work from that premise and we looked at the dustbins of every Indian home and we found that 60% of your dustbin is actually organic waste. And that organic waste, you're mixing it with sanitary napkin, you're mixing it with the sambar, you're mixing it with tomato, you're putting some medicine in it, paper, plastic. So what happens is that beautiful organic waste made by nature, you're putting something else and making it poison. So you have all these poison bullets in everybody's house. You're spending taxpayers' money to go and pick up all this poison bullet, put it in a truck, spending money on pollution, fuel, road damage, taking it far away, putting all those poison bullets together and creating more poison there. Water, land, air gets polluted and it comes back to us. You get it back in food. We get it back from the air. We get it back in our water. So there's no away. Where is it gone away? It's not gone away. So when we talk to people, we felt that this is not in their inside sense. They don't understand this fully. They think I'm joking, or they think it's an environmentalist story, and I'm lying, or somebody else who talks like this is lying. But slowly, I think there is a growing awareness among younger people because of what is happening all over the world. Environment is being talked about now. 14 years ago, it was not like this. So when we started, so I'm going to quickly show you a film because the other thing that we realized is a lot of people want their maids or their drivers or their security guards to do the composting at home. So one of them had come and told us, why don't you make a film to show how important it is to them also and to us also? So we made a film that talked to both the employer and the employee. So I'm going to quickly show you that. Give me a minute. Can you see it? Hello, can you see that, Neelam?
Now it has come.
ಸುಮತಿ ಒಂದ್ ವಿಷಯ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಗಮನ ಇಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊ. ಮನೇಲಿ ಕಸ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಸ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಡೈಲಿ ಡಂಪ್ ಪಾಟ್ ನ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಕಿಚನ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ನೆಲ್ಲ ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಇರೋ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಬಿನ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು, ಬೇರೆ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಇರೋ ರೆಡ್ ಬಿನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು. ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಬಿನ್, ರೆಡ್ ಬಿನ್ ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಏನಂತ ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಮಾಡೋಣ, ನಮ್ಮ ಕೈಲಿ ಎರಡು ಕೆಲಸನ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಯಾವ್ದನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ನೀವು ಕೂಡ ಸಂಬಳ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸಾಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎರಡು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದೇ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋದು ನೀವು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. ಸುಮತಿ ನಾನು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ
ಏನ್ ಸುಮತಿ? ಓ ಇದು ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇದು ಡೈಲಿ ಡಂಪ್ ಪಾಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮಹಾಪುರುಷರು ಇದ್ದಂಗೆ.
ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಕೆಲಸ ಅಲ್ವಾ?
ಇದೇನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಕೆಲಸ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಒಂದು ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ. ಕೆಲವ್ರಿಗೆ ಇದು ಸಿಗರೇಟ್ ಸೇದೋದು ಕೆಟ್ಟ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಕೆಲವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಎದ್ದು ಹಲ್ಲುಜ್ಜೋದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಆ ತರನೇ ಇದು ಡೈಲಿ ಡಂಪ್ ಪಾಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಮಾಡೋದು ತುಂಬಾ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ.
ಅದ್ಯಾಕೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು?
ಇದು ಅಡ್ಗೆ ಮನೆ ಕಸದಿಂದ ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಆ ಗೊಬ್ಬರನ ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಗಾರ್ಡನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಕಸ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿದ್ದು ಕೊಳಿತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಡೈಲಿ ಡಂಪ್ ಪಾಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ನೋಡಕ್ಕೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ?
ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ಗೇನ್ ಲಾಭ ಇದೆ?
ನಾವು ಮಾಡೋದೆಲ್ಲ ಭವಿಷ್ಯಕ್ಕೂ ಇರ್ತಲ್ವಾ. ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಬೀಜ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಮರ ಆಗಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಹಣ್ಣು ಕೊಡತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಇದು ಅದೇ ತರ. ಇದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಚ್ಛ ಮನೆ, ಸ್ವಚ್ಛ ಬೀದಿ, ಸ್ವಚ್ಛ ಊರಲ್ಲಿ
So that the film was made, and from the logic of the film, you can see that it's all about the future. It's about how you're connected and how it makes sense. We thought we made a great film. I don't know whether you guys think it's a great film, but we thought we did a great job. Yeah. But then what happened was, when we showed it to, I had a friend who had a Nepali help at home. So she took the film, and it was made in Hindi also. She took it home, and she was planning to do composting. So she showed it to the Nepali help. And we thought, okay, once the Nepali help saw the film, he'd get very excited, and he said, yeah, I'll also do good things. And so he would start. But what really happened was, after the Nepali help saw the film, he said, I will not do this work. And she asked, why? He said, because इसमें बोलते हैं कचरा का काम, मैं कचरे का काम नहीं करूँगा. So it says at one point that this is a work with waste. So you can understand the uphill battle we've had over the years. We've had to try and tell people, see, this is possible. So it's taken a long time. And the beauty is, I don't know how many of you, there are, I think, 80 people in the audience now. How many of you actually compost at home? How many of you think it's easy? How many of you think it's difficult? How many of you think it's smelly? Yeah. Yeah. So John Daniel says is he composting? Yes. Okay. When you put up your hand, means you're composting. You know, lots of them. Okay. Very nice. 6 people. Okay. All right. 7 people say that they're composting. 8. Very good. I'm talking to an enlightened audience here. Excellent. Lovely. Lovely. 8. Upasni also says, oh, lovely. Jyoti also. Okay, great, Jyoti. And how many of you use daily dump products? Now, that's another thing I need to say. Oh, we have 7 people. Wow, 5. Okay, very good. 5 people use daily dump products. That's really great to hear. Okay. All right. So, for those who don't know about composting, I'm going to quickly just show you the material and quickly run you through how easy it is, and also explain to you the chemistry with it. Niharika, come, you help me with this. So your kitchen waste for the day, right? You start with your kitchen waste. First of all, on your kitchen counter or in any place in your kitchen, keep a small container. I prefer to use stainless steel because I can wash it very well. It's got a lid. I keep a container, and then it's got kitchen waste in it, right? Now, kitchen waste for the day, I keep putting into it. I mean, after I finish cooking in the morning, it's a lot. So then I go and put it in the composter. But you can put everything. Like this has got flowers, it's got vegetable cut, it's got peels, it's got some pizza bread and citrus. You cut it this size. It shouldn't be too big, you know. And this kitchen waste, once you have it collected, you put it into our composter. And I'm going to show you one simple composter that we have. This is called, we have plastic and terracotta. I'm just showing you the plastic series. We have 3 units or 4 units, depending on the kind you buy. You put the waste inside this, and then you put cocoa peat powder that we sell called Remix. You put a cocoa peat powder called Remix, and this is the kind of texture of the cocoa peat powder, you know. So you'll see that this is very powdery, it's dry, it's got microbes that are involved in it. And this you have to layer, completely layer your kitchen waste with. People will read on the internet, it'll say you can use dried leaves. You can use dried leaves, but the thing is, dry leaves have surfaces, and those surfaces compact with each other once the moisture in the wet waste is released. So composting is an exothermic reaction. It generates heat and releases water, right? And generates gas. So what happens is, you have this kitchen waste, which is nitrogen. You add this cocoa peat based powder, which is carbon. And if there is enough oxygen in the pile, these 3 things in balance will not create hydrogen sulfide and ammonia. Tell them to stop there. Yeah. They will not create ammonia. Hydrogen sulfide and ammonia actually are the smelly gases. So if you want to avoid smell, make sure you have nitrogen, this carbon and oxygen in the correct proportion. If you do that, you won't get a bad smell. And the people who feel that, okay, I suddenly got a bad smell, the way to correct that is you just go back, put more of this carbon in and mix it in, right? So it's as simple as that's all you need to do daily. You put this kitchen waste, you put the Remix powder, it becomes ready to go, the microbes start acting, and the process of decomposition starts. And what you get after 1.5 months is very good rich compost. Yeah? And this compost is very good for soil. In fact, some of the latest studies are showing us, if a nation takes all its organic waste and puts it back into soil, we would have saved the carbon that we are creating from energy emissions. But we don't understand how important that is. We are our 1/3 of our nation's soils is degraded. And this is where I want you to connect this idea of with cities and built environments. For a long time, after we were working, about say 6 years, we were thinking about what really is the problem, because we saw that people, even if they have a house, they don't have space for composting. And I remember when we, in my time, we used to have flats. Flats didn't have any plumbing or retrofitting or spaces built for washing machines. Then the washing machine started happening because people didn't have maids to wash clothes. They wanted to have it faster to save water. So then suddenly architects started building spaces for washing machines. Now, if you go to a flat, the plumbing for the washing machine is installed, the space is given, but we haven't done that for waste. Why haven't we done for waste? You plan a city, you look at our urban environments, you don't have a place for a compactor truck to take waste from a ward. You don't have toilets for the people who work with waste. If you're a bus driver has a bus depot, a bus driver has a bus canteen, the bus driver and conductor have spaces for rest, they have bus stops. We don't have infrastructure for waste. Now, when you don't have infrastructure, how will you look after waste? So, and if you want to, extend that, and now we are understanding more that we have to become circular. If I have a commode in my house and I want a new commode, I break up my home commode. Where will I put my old commode? Is there any place in my ward that has been designed or put into my urban plan that says all this kind of debris, this kind of mattress, this kind of furniture, this kind of organic waste, this kind of plastic waste needs to reach at this decentralized place? We don't have. Is there enough money in it? We don't have the value proposition created. So You cannot have a Swachh Bharat, you cannot have a clean country when you don't go back to the blueprint of your urban design. Because waste is about how we live, it's where we live and how we deal with the surroundings. Um, and therefore, I feel more and more that architects, because they have such a big role to play in the design of our built environments, they don't even have a course. I think I remember I went to one place and I asked them. I said they had asked me to come for a talk. I said, "Do you have a course? Do you have a course on circular urban environments?" And I think last year Rockefeller Foundation had actually uh, funded a report called Zero Waste, and it's about they did an analysis of their built environments, and they found that we have not designed for even a dustbin to go through certain spaces of our built environments. Then how will people collect it if you're inside somewhere? Whereas when you design a hospital, you know what the specifications are for the width of the corridor. You know what an ICU bed is. You know how it has to travel inside the hospital. We've not done that for waste. If you don't do that for waste, there's no way you'll have a clean country or a clean city or a clean ward. And this fundamentally has to change in the way we look at how we tell young people about built environments. So I'm sure lots of you are either faculty or a part of educational institutions. My request to all of you is that please do consider material recovery, material circularity as one of the important subjects to teach architecture students. It's not enough to say we're going to build an environment and not know where the waters are going, where is the waste going, where is the waste coming from, where is material coming from. So that's one of the learnings I'd like to just share with you, and I want you to keep this in mind when you look at waste in the future. In terms of organic waste, we have the interesting thing about organic waste is it's the most well-designed thing because man didn't design it. Organic waste I didn't create, you didn't create. It's created by nature. So the DNA of organic waste is it will go back as nutrient. It will never become non-nutrient if you don't contaminate it. But if you contaminate it, it becomes non-nutrient. It creates methane in landfill. And the process is created, then you end up creating methane, which you don't want to do. So therefore, you don't want it to go to landfill. If you don't want it to go to landfill, what are you going to do about restaurants? Because restaurants generate a lot of organic waste. Now, sometimes they are in places where there is no place to do any in situ composting. So where will they compost that waste? And then we have not even got the circularity in the sense, like I've made a lot of compost, right? So people will come to me and say, you want me to buy a 3,000 rupee composter. Why should I buy it? Because I can't sell my compost for more than 5 rupees a kilo. So on one side, because of our subsidies, fertilizer subsidies over the years, we have devalued that basic material, which is actually so potent. Yeah. Now, Japan, in fact, when Japan had its nuclear thing, we were exporting compost to Japan. Right now, we are exporting compost to Dubai. Right. So we don't understand the value of that material. The important thing in my work is, I feel, what will it take for us to understand the beauty of this material? I was not educated in composting. I'm not coming from a farming background. I don't know anything about nature. Okay. I was one of the most non-aware people you could imagine. And then at 40, I learned about this and I was like, why didn't somebody tell me? Why didn't somebody tell me that how wonderful this is? And therefore, I feel like my job is to get the magic of compost, just the material, just the fact that it's such an amazing material exists. And I keep telling people, I say, you buy a fridge, right? You buy a TV for your house, you buy a fridge for a house. Very good, you should have. But what does a fridge do? It delays death. What it does is take a tomato, a live tomato, and it will delay the death of the tomato, right? So it'll extend the life of the tomato for another 4 days. What does a composter do? Composter takes something that you think is dead, is waste, and it gives it life again. So you want something that delays death in your house, please go ahead, have it. But bring this other energy in also. No? You bring a composter into your house because it's a spirit of taking something that is you have said is dead and gone. It doesn't need, it is of no use, and it gives it life again. So we try all kinds of arguments to get people to see the magic of this. But I think that's the hardest battle. My everyday battle, my team's everyday battle is how we tell the story again and again to get people to get excited. But the nice thing is, we do have lots of customers who get very excited. They make little videos about their composting. They put it up, and it's really pleasure to see them also understanding how nature is so wonderful. You know? It works so beautifully, and just it's a moment of deep empathy with the way the universe works. So, is there, Neelam, do you want me to stop or continue with leaf composting?
Yeah, I will. I will just quickly maybe go through. Though you've answered many of the questions that I had thought of asking, I'll just quickly go through. I think you already shared your story, and this was about the startup that we had. But I think we will, since you've gone to composting directly, we will first have that benefits of composting. I think you have already told people, and how easy it is to, because the steps and precautions we should take to do it.
Yeah,
so you have shown
yeah. But I'd like to talk about 2-3 precautions. One is when you're beginning, when you're testing, right? Or a lot of you may feel, I don't want to start in a big way. Try a test kit. Okay? Try in a small way. Even don't buy a product, just take a small bucket. Take any bucket in your house. Drill some holes on this around it. Make sure you don't drill the holes at the bottom part. Drill holes on the top. The bucket must have a lid, right? So what you do is you put your wet waste in. Don't put any cooked food for the beginners. I mean, I put everything. I put bones. I put cooked food. I put everything. I just make sure I have enough cocoa peat involved. But for beginners, I would recommend don't put cooked food. Just put all your kitchen waste, that is all your peels and cuttings and all of that. Put that, you put this cocoa peat powder, shut the lid. Next day, put the waste, put cocoa peat powder, shut the lid. Third day, put thing. After the bucket is full, right? You put a spoon of curd, mix it up, cover again with a little bit of powder and leave it. You'll find after 1 month of you have filled the bucket, it will become really nice compost. Now, during that time, you will find bugs and all of that, right? Small bugs will come called black soldier fly maggots. Now, that's a big reason why people get put off from composting. Once they realize that, oh, they're going to be bugs, they get scared. And so what we do is we do the other way. We say, oh, wow, bugs, how wonderful, make new friends. But not everybody can get around that because the black soldier fly bug is I mean, when I started, I was like, what is this? I've never seen black soldier fly maggots. And there were lots and lots and lots of them. So then I did some research and I found, my God, this is a wonderful bug. Nobody told me when I was in 5th standard there are good bugs and bad bugs. These days, at least maybe they're saying. But when I was being educated, either I was really dumb in class, which I think I am. So I never learned that there are good bugs and bad bugs. And then I discovered, oh my God, these bugs are so good. And actually the research shows that the black soldier fly maggot is one of the best scavengers on the earth. And they're harmless to human beings. So I said, okay, how do we sell this? Because it's going to be very difficult to sell bugs as a great friend to housewives in India. It's not going to happen. So what we used to do was, we used to put a bowl of these bugs next to our composting when we used to sell it. And we say, madam, you're going to say hello to them. And they'll say, why? So, madam, this is your friend. Say hello to them. So that's the way we started. We would never say, you will never get bugs, right? So over time, people have also started understanding that these small bugs are good. What happens inside the composting is healthy as long as they stay inside. Sometimes the bugs do come outside. So you just sweep them up and put them under a tree. The birds love them. Okay, so after you've made that bucket, you keep it aside for 1 month. You open it up, you'll see very good compost. If it is a mango season and you put big seeds, the mango seed, the bone, all of that will take some time to compost. So you just take that out, use the compost, put this mango seed and this bones back in your fresh waste. It'll start melting and becoming decomposed over about 3 cycles. If during that time you make a mistake or it starts smelling, just add more cocoa peat powder, mix it up. Remember, composting is an exothermic reaction, it releases water. So if you've put less cocoa peat powder inside the bucket, it'll get wet. Once it gets wet, oxygen won't go in. Once oxygen does not go in, it'll smell. So if it's smelling mean, it's like a baby crying. It wants what? It wants food. Babies cry when they want food, or babies cry because they want attention. So smell is like a baby cry. It's asking you, come look after me, give me some cocoa peat powder, mix me up, be nice to me, then becomes fine. So it's like a little pet. So those are the things that you need to watch out for. And once you get one time right, you will be amazed at that you have no organic waste going out of your house at all. Not even one bit will go out.
Yeah, I've learned that because I attended your workshop one time when I went really berserk on a buying spree and learning spree after that. Yeah. Okay. So in 1 month we get this compost. So if we have 2 cycles, so we take 2 buckets and we leave 1 bucket and we use another bucket, right?
Yeah. So in that 1 month, when you start this 1 bucket test, right, you're only going to do it for how much ever time the bucket is filled, because you're testing it. You don't know whether it'll go well. So after the bucket is full, you're throwing your waste out every day. Only when you are convinced, then you have to buy at least 4 buckets.
Okay.
After you're convinced, you buy 4 buckets. You'll need 4 because you'll fill one, then you'll fill the next, then you'll fill the third, then you'll fill the fourth. After you fill the fourth, the first would have been ready.
Okay.
So that's the cycle. So then it's continuous.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing is, if you have a garden, you can actually compost your leaves. And leaf composting doesn't smell at all. And actually, I'm going to share my screen and quickly just show you the composting process.
Yes.
1 minute. Can you see my screen, Neela?
I can see your screen, but not the share screen thing. Yeah, now it's there.
Yeah, screen. You can see the. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is our site, and it very clearly shows you very simply what is decomposition. It starts looking like this, and then it becomes like this after you sieve it. But to get this powder consistency, you have to sieve the compost. So it's a natural process. It's full of life. It releases leachate. The water that's released is called leachate. If oxygen is there, no bad odors. It generates heat. It needs the right mix. And that's how compost will look. It's organic. These are the benefits. So I'm talking about aerobic decomposition. This is the aerobic decomposition. You can do vermicomposting, but in vermicomposting, you have to be careful not to put a lot of meat, citrus, onion. So we don't recommend vermicomposting. And the other thing is that kitchen waste composting. So this is what you do daily. You take your kitchen waste, you put remix powder, and you get compost in 1.5 months. This is what remix powder does. It absorbs the moisture. It makes composting stir-free, helps you get it right. And these are the ingredients. You should not put plastic. You should not put coconut waste. You shouldn't put newspaper, any plastic, and you cannot put your dog or cat poop.
Okay.
And so these are the different stages. See, this is what the maggot looks like. This has become too wet. this is bad. So we have different diagnostics. So this is what it looks. How does it look when it's stirred 10 days? White fungus is good. So our website actually has a lot of material that you can go to, and we also have a troubleshooting section where I want to show you the black soldier fly maggot. This is the black soldier fly maggot. Yeah.
Yeah, we see a lot of them.
Yeah, so these are good, and this is what is so good about them. So they manage all kinds of ways. They're useful as feed, improves quality of compost faster than worms, and they control the harmful housefly population. They have a natural secrete a natural fly repellent called cinnamon, and so the other flies stay away. And this is the life cycle. So you see this, the fly is emerging from that. Yeah. So this is, we've put everything here. And the other thing that you can talk about is, if you don't want to start like composting your kitchen waste, please do compost your leaves. Leaves composting is just very simple. You take leaves, you put it into this leaf composter, put water every day, and you get very, very good leaf mulch.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we also have community composting systems, where in your flat, in your college, in your school, you can compost together. So you don't have to compost individually in your home, but these are much larger systems. And so you installed it in your utility area in the flats, and so you can compost as a community instead of doing it alone.
Okay. In this leaf composting, just a small question. If we have a very large park, like 100-acre park, so there are lots of leaves and other things and twigs and all that we get. So in your leaf composting thing, can we also have twigs and other things can also be put there?
Yes. You should put all of it. The thing is, if you see in Bangalore parks, we already have a lot of these systems in many areas. They also build concrete pits and all of that. The reason why we made it the way we did was to make sure that the next generation also understands that this is important. How do you pass the message on? Again, we didn't want it to make it like it's dirty or it's filthy. How do we get away from that perception? That was what is important for us.
We can't see your video.
Oh, sorry.
You wanted to show some screen shot or something?
No. I just wanted to say that these. How do we keep designing, even in your, in your parks and things like that? I was talking to some architects and I said, is it possible for us to make walls look like, or use walls as leaf composters? And how do you get away from that thing of it's a pit or it's a waste area? And it become an architectural, sculptural element for the garden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing, Poonam, we have actually less than 50% architects. We have a lot of other people, science graduates, and so it's like a common man.
Right.
So we have more than 50% as common people of botany and of so many other things, and also from sustainability innovation cells who wanted to know about this waste and building science people into waste management.
But that's what I'm saying. So waste is, when people tell me you're in the waste business, I say no, I'm not in the waste business. I'm in the mindset changing business. Because it's not about this. Waste is a resource. It's all material, and material is wonderful. You have to know the value of it. It comes from nature. All the material, whether we are even talking of plastic, it's coming from natural gas. So.
Okay, you're telling us about, I just interrupted you, on apartment complexes like community. Can you show us how to go about it actually? In wards or in apartment complexes or layouts?
Yeah. So in apartments, what happens is, what our experience is that you must start with the RW will have an association, right? So those associations, we often go and tell them that they must first implement segregation. And segregation implementation across 100 and 200 flats is sometimes a big challenge if they're not all agreeing to the same idea. So what happens is that so we have 2 or 3 strategies that we get our RWS to try and use. One is that they make champions on every floor. The other is to get children on, involved and become like a green brigade or something like that. Incentivize segregation. So the first step is segregate. If you segregate, then you can, as a apartment complex, you can put a timetable. You can say, on Mondays, we will collect all the dry waste from all of you. On every day, we will collect your organic waste and sanitary waste. On Saturdays, we'll collect this kind of waste. So e-waste, okay? So you can also set up within the apartment one common area where they can put all the e-waste and bulbs and all, so it's safe. So what happens is, to implement all of this, right, takes time. It also takes people's buy-in. You may, all 50 flats may do it, but 3 flats may not do it. And then that becomes a point of friction and tension. So we help them get their segregation. Then we actually train the housekeeping to go and collect. After they've collected the organic waste, we teach the housekeeping how to look after their composters, which they've installed in their flat. And we connect them either to another dry waste collection service, or we get them to give it to the municipality. So that's how we set up a system for a set of flats. So there are many vendors who do the dry waste. Pardon?
Sorry, can you show some products I think you had for the bigger community
So
listing?
I'll just show you, yeah.
So that people have an idea as to how to go about it actually.
So this is are you looking at my screen?
Yeah. Yes,
So,
it is visible.
So we have this kind of product. It's called the Aga. And this is how you remove the compost once it's done. This is how you put the waste in. This, in fact, is in the Canadian International School. So they have a set of Agas. So they actually, in fact, compost all their kitchen waste and have a vegetable garden.
Okay.
So you'll see here in different communities, this is how it looks like when it's installed.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's visible.
And we have this is a
Have you tried composting? But all the products
Increase the volume a bit.
across are for small families or large companies. That's why I was
Poonam, you can increase the volume of the video.
and I gobble up 5 kgs per
Yeah,
day.
no, it's fine.
I am the newest addition to Daily Dunk's growing family of composters. I think I am the rock star.
Can we squeeze into a corridor? That's all the space we have.
Yes, of course. My 2 feet by 2.5 feet fit easily. And look at how neat and cool I look. And how many just one. If you have 5 kgs of wet waste per day, you can even add more. I'm modular in case you recently.
What if you start smelling?
Sheesh, my breathing stainless steel double wall keeps all bad odors far away. Time is stretched. Just dump your organic waste and feed me my daily dose of wheat and microbes. Just takes 5 minutes.
So will that be some extra work for my housekeeping staff?
No, I'm so easy to maintain. He just adds the waste daily with the wheat and microbes and just wipe me down with vinegar and water. No need to stir. Just layering is enough.
I'm usually tolerant, and I cannot deal with too many people crawling.
Yes, composting usually does have its share of insects, but I'm designed to keep them inside me and let them do their work without disturbing you.
When does compost get ready?
Just open the door once in 20 days and you can get the results of my work. Beautiful, nutritious compost that will regenerate soil and help you grow safe food.
Almost sounds
There are other things that make me even cooler. I can move around on my wheels. I use move power. I can sing outdoors. I have a tub that drains any extra liquid that is created, and I can be logged.
Okay. You can see your screen.
Yeah.
I mean your video.
Yeah, so you saw that. So that's another product of ours. And
Okay.
our aim is to make it as easy as possible. And also, please remember, when I started, nobody was wanting to pay even a single naya paisa for a waste product. Yeah,
Yeah, correct. Right.
there's no acceptance that you have to pay money for this. So over the years, we've also had to wait till consumer interest is increased, value proposition is increased. Only then could we develop products. So we've
Okay,
actually
so
built the market. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, so a little bit just in the between about how did you start and what was the founding team and what difference that you've already told us that you wanted to make in customers' life or a business, but what challenges you faced, you have already told, but if you could share in detail about these things, you know.
I think the challenge is that I don't come from a background of business. And neither am I interested, in the sense that's not my interest area. So, you have to balance if you want to keep something viable and you don't want to be like a grant taking organization. I don't take funds. I'm not an NGO. I want to be able to be, all this idea of self-reliance is being said right now, but I like the idea of self-reliance. It was coming from my dad and my mom, the way they taught us. So in that, you have to, it's a challenge because you have to be viable, you have to pay salaries, you have to, do the right thing. But you also have to grow the business, right? And to grow the business, you need to have a business mindset. And I don't have that. So that's a big challenge.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Because most of these kind of work that we try to do is like, as you said, people think it's like a social service and it is not required, but she's trying to push her idea. And so it comes. So how hard it was, I mean, how many years before you could actually break even or people really tried to
I think
start paying for it?
So break even was not the thing because we were all so frugal. I didn't take salary for the first 5 years. So it was break even was not but I think that so we were always, we never had debt. We never had financial problems because we only worked with whatever cloth we had. It's like we are tailors. We will cut only with whatever cloth we have. We were not tailors who would say, I'll go borrow cloth and I will cut somebody else's cloth. No.
Okay. Because why I'm asking this question is there are many people who have joined the session today because they want to become entrepreneurs like you. And that's why I just wanted you to share it actually.
The eco space for entrepreneurship has changed a lot. No, for 14 years is a long time, right? Now they have a lot more support. They have capital also access, and they have the mindset. I think entrepreneurs are more respected now. And I think
Yeah,
people have more risk appetite. So it's good. I think the young people will do much better than all of us, I think. Definitely.
yeah, many of them actually, that's why there are many young people who have registered just to become entrepreneurs, and they want to I mean, go into this field, and that's very heartening,
Yes.
actually. Yeah. So you also told us that you could tell us a little bit about growing our own healthy food, which is going to be a great challenge in the times
Yes.
to come. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
I think that food is actually a challenge because nutrition is a challenge. It's not the food, it's the nutrition. And more and more research is showing us that good soil will give you good nutrition. If your soil itself is not good, then you won't get good nutrition. And so we're going back to the basics. We're saying, okay, we have to build soil. And soil will build good plants or good food. So therefore, it's very important to start composting and say, okay, what can I do to build my soil and even grow chili or even grow curry pata or even grow methi. You start with that because I'm also was not trained as a gardener, and for me, gardening doesn't come easily. I have to learn everything from scratch. So I can understand when people say I don't know how to garden because I also don't know. And but I also know from my experience that if you start growing something small and you see it grow, and then you start understanding the magic of it, without you, it opens another window in your head, which is very important, I think. And then you can taste that food and you know the difference. And so then you value good food. Then if you value good food, health will come automatically. And when health comes automatically, your quality of life happens automatically. So it's all connected. So yeah. So therefore, I think it's very important to close that loop.
Okay. One small doubt that the compost that we get out of this composting method that you told us, we mix soil to it, and in what proportion do we mix the soil, or can you
Yeah.
just
So
tell
you mix one third compost, one third cocoa peat, and one third soil.
Okay, yeah.
So
That's one.
one third.
And how often you have to replenish
I think
the
compost you
soil?
should put you should put compost every week on top of your soil, on top of your pot.
So after you have made the mother mixture of one third soil, one third cocoa peat, and one third this compost, and mix it and put the plant, and then every week we have to put
Every
little bit of compost
compost.
over that.
Just stop
Um,
dressing. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Oh, that's really good. That's really great. We just wanted to, for our viewers, to be more clear, because
Yeah.
the more easy we make it for them, and
Absolutely.
for a common man, the more number of people will actually start
Yes.
doing.
And
Just
also,
wanted a little bit of.
one of the things about compost is once you do it, keep it for 1.5 months, right? It's very
Mm,
important to leave it for another 1 month, ideally speaking. Yeah.
mm,
Let it mature a bit. You can keep it
mm.
moist. It's very important to keep it moist, and you can even add some curd, because what happens is that then it stays, right? When it stays, it becomes really mature, and then if you put in the plants, you would have destroyed whatever weeds or any leftover thing that has not been fully broken down. Otherwise, it stresses the plants.
Okay, the curd
And
that you said, do we mix the curd in water and then put it in, or how do we give the curd?
you can put it in water and give. You can put it as it is also, not a problem. But important thing is that it should be that pile should be
You have to
moist when you
mix
stir
it.
it up. Yeah.
So you have to stir it up. You after
Stir it up.
giving curd, you have to stir it up.
Stir it up.
Okay.
But if you keep the compost for a month or before you use it, it's much better.
So 1 month to compost, and after that you leave it for 1 month, and then you use it.
Then use it. Yeah.
That's better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So actually, we need many more Poonams in India to make it to India.
There are. I can see lots more Poonams happening.
So how do
Then
you plan to scale up from here where you are? Or do you have plans to scale up?
we have, see, for us, scaling up means how many people adopt it, how many people
Okay.
replicate it, how many people can copy it and use it. Already we are seeing that. So it's nice. I mean, I don't personally want to go and scale everywhere. I don't want Poonam to appear everywhere. Not at all.
Yeah, I understood. I think it's more like a trickling down effect.
Yes.
That will be a better thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will have more ambassadors, Poonam ambassadors, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
across.
Their own ambassadors. Their own ambassadors. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And yeah, you already spoken, but one more time, I just wanted to ask, describe your long-term desired outcomes and how will you measure your progress actually towards these outcomes?
Yeah, I think that the progress we measure is how much of how many we, in fact, we have a matrix. We measure in 4 or 5 ways. We measure how many new customers we get, and we measure how many people we meet and talk to and connect with, so that we spread the word. We measure how many kilos of organic waste we put back into land. I mean, into soil. That means make into compost, and we measure how many people have copied us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we
Okay,
have some sense that how much of the trickle effect is happening. And
okay.
I think, yeah, we measure the fact that we are paying decent salaries at the time of COVID. We've not gone under. We have not collapsed. We pay all our people very decent wage and working conditions. So all these are measures, yeah, yeah. And we enjoy our work we do. I think that's very big measure.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's when people realize that then the trickle effect will be much more.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So my last question, one message to the participants.
And there is nothing called waste. We have to design
Okay.
waste out of our lives.
Okay. Okay. So I hand over
There is a
now. I am
question.
very open.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry,
yeah.
sorry. Please go ahead.
No, there's some question about what can be done
Yeah,
if the
yeah.
compost gets wet.
Yeah,
Have
I
had
will.
the
I
situation.
yeah. So I will have. We have Sneha with us, assistant professor from Aditya College of Architecture and Design, and she will read out all the participants' questions, the questions that they have sent as part of the registrations also. So, Snehal, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, Poonam, you already met Snehal yesterday, so that she
Yeah,
will be going ahead with the questions. Over
yeah.
to you, Snehal.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
And
you.
thank you,
Thank you,
Poonam
sir.
ma'am, for that enlightening and very informative session.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I would now like to take few questions. Those are there with me from the participants.
Okay.
Yeah. So the question is from Ashish J. Nagpurkar, and he wants to know about these units which are ready-made available for the composting, how economical these units are for distributing to lower income areas.
So the beauty about our country is that lower income people don't waste food. I don't see so much of organic waste coming out of low income groups.
Yes.
The rich people waste a lot of food.
Sure.
If you go higher if you go to city, right, and if you go to
Yes.
the higher income brackets, you'll find, if you open the dustbins, you'll find more food waste there, which is really tragic.
Yes. Yeah.
So I would say that let's focus on the middle class and the upper middle class on this, because they're the ones who are wasting.
Right.
And the
Yes.
poor, yeah. So then that's that. And so when people ask me question of economics, I say, who's wasting food?
Right.
Only the rich people waste food.
Right, ma'am. So the next question on the same lines is from Subramanian Nandakumar, and
Yeah.
he wants to know how to construct a kitchen waste composting rectangular brick and mortar structure in the
Yeah.
backyard of his own house.
Okay. So anybody who wants to construct the pit way of composting, okay, so there are many ways of composting. One is a pit, one is heap, one is rotary drum, one is aerobic, one is anaerobic, one is vermicompost. There are many ways. So that if you want to make pit with like these cement construction, what you have to do is you have to make 3 pits ideally. So whatever you do, whatever you construct, should not be more 2 feet by 2 feet. Actually, they say 3 feet by 3 feet, but my sense is in an urban area you may not have that space. So you say 2 feet by 2 feet pits of 2 feet height, or 2.5 feet height. You make 3 such next to each other. Fill one, then fill the next, then fill the third. And by the time the third is filled, the first you can take out. And ideally speaking, when you make the pits, you should have a door in front of the pit. Yeah, like our aga door. So for you to harvest, it becomes easy. Otherwise, you have to have a lot of muscle power to pull material out. Anybody who makes pits must make it easy for people. See, uh, whether you're doing the work or hard work or somebody else is doing the hard work, the work has to become easier. It has to be less feeling like it's drudgery, it's dirty work. Because that itself is another barrier why people don't want to work with waste. So how can we make it easy? So please
Yeah.
make pits and make sure, and you have to cover the pits in a sloping angle so the rain doesn't go in, and you have to have ventilation. If ideally, if you can put a pipe through to get some air ventilated from outside, like an L pipe out, it might be good. But that you can try.
Yeah, ma'am. So Kanika Agarwal wants to know that does these units, or it can be ready-made unit or a made of pit, does it have to be in a semi-covered area or it can be in an open area?
So if it is our product, it needs to have some kind of cover from very heavy rain. That means it can be under a chajja or under a tree. Yeah. But the pit you have to cover. The pit anyway, you'll have to cover with something to protect it from rain.
Yeah.
If you're building a pit.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you've already told us about this vermicompost, and you don't suggest you told us about that. But if still a few people wants to go for it, can you tell us like how to create these indigenous earthworms for a vermicompost, or from where can we procure it?
So indigenous earthworms usually in some cities is available. Some of them you can go directly to farmers and dig up their soil and you'll get. Some you have to go to an agricultural university. Somebody in the agricultural university or linked to them will be having, because there are a lot of people who are doing vermicomposting at a big scale in farms and all of that. So you have to connect with somebody over there who can supply. These days, even in big cities, if you Google, say, I want worms delivered to me, there are services who do that. So you can get the worms and then you can start putting the bedding. And then after the worms have settled and the bedding they've got, then you start putting your organic waste for them to eat.
So ma'am, you told us about, you're not actually from a farming background. And I have a next question related to the same, that what inspired you, or the people wants to know about your motivation story, and also how can they guide others. So this question is asked from Ankita Chamola and also Uttara Ganesh. They would like to know about your motivational story.
So what is motivational stories? Just something some very simple thing. I look at the world, I feel I can do something in this area and I do it. What else is the motivation? I have no great story. It's just you watch the world, you try and make sense of it.
Yes, ma'am. So one last question, and that's from Sukriti Sa. The incorporation of composting in modern landscape where manicuring is given utmost priority. So can you throw some light on it?
The importance of composting and manicuring.
In modern landscape, where manicuring is given utmost priority.
Okay. I think that, I don't know, I think on the other side, I like wild gardens, not manicured gardens.
Yes.
So I may not be the right person to talk about that.
Yeah.
I like growing food more than lawns. So I think when I see a lot of lawn space, no, I have a problem. There's one question from Neelam. Composting in backyard rats are a problem. Yes, if you compost in a pit, rats are a problem. Rats get attracted to smells. Okay. So you just have to make sure that your product doesn't allow the rat to get in. And sometimes these rats are so big and so powerful, they eat plastic. We've seen that happen in some areas. So it's hard, but we have to keep trying.
Yeah, ma'am, before I hand it over to Nilu, ma'am, there is one more question. That is, can you suggest some of the comprehensive study courses on the composting, or do you provide education on this?
So you don't have to, I mean, unless, what do you want to do with it? You know, the understanding of composting. If you want to set up your business, then there is enough material on the internet. You can join an online course and you can learn. Otherwise, we have everything on our website. So just go read our website. It's free. You don't have to pay anything, and you get all the material. And then we have a download section. You can download everything. There are lots of films. So please use.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. So now I hand over the session to Neelam, ma'am.
Thank you.
Shailja, there were questions in the section when they had registered. Have you taken those questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I mean, there were more than 50 questions there. So that's what I'm
Yeah,
just
ma'am.
wondering.
I categorized and also made the similar questions as a one so that ma'am can answer at once. So mostly the questions were about how to make a compost and different methodologies involved for it.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Shailja. Yeah. Thank you. Poonam, can you also show us some more videos of, important aspects of this waste management, if you have?
Sure. Which one would you like? Would you like to see leaf composting?
Yeah, leaf composting and whatever you think we have not been able to cover.
Sure. I'll just show you one. Yeah.
Look at what we've done. I can only also shout at our audience.
I can't see the.
Yeah, just give me a minute.
Yeah.
Congratulations on being the proud owner of a Daily Dump composter. Find the
Meanwhile, participants, if you have any further questions, you can always put it up. We would be happy to, ma'am will be happy to answer.
Hello, Neelam ma'am.
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Yeah,
sorry, the comment section is disabled, so I had to unmute and speak. Thank you for the great session. I had a question regarding the coco peat. What is the role of coco peat in composting? Since it is a very commercial product, can it be replaced by sawdust?
No, I would not suggest replacing it by sawdust.
What is the rule? Can you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I would not, Mr. Manjunath, right?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Mr. Manjunath, see the coco peat, right? It's got a kind of content, carbon content and surface area that is absolutely what you call the most optimum for absorption of leachate and for providing the right kind of carbon for the microbes. Like we as our bodies, we have to work, right? We work because we eat food and of nitrogen and carbohydrates. And carbohydrates provide one kind of energy. Protein provides another kind of energy. And the thing is that similarly, microbes to live and to multiply need that kind of carbon and nitrogen. So they work best and optimally with the right kind of carbon source and the right kind of nitrogen source and the oxygen. So we found in our experiments that sawdust tends to not have the right kind of carbon. It comes from wood source. That wood is not really completely dry. And so the carbon is not complete carbon. It is usually got some amount of moisture in it. Also, the surface area is not as high as coco peat.
Okay.
So that's the reason why, while coco peat, see, I'll tell you one of the things. Carbon is there in
Yeah.
everything. Carbon is in paper. Carbon is there in used compost. That means done compost has carbon. Carbon is there in this leaves. Carbon is there in sawdust. So we're not saying carbon is not there. When I first started, nobody wanted to pay extra, so we would say use dried leaves. But what happens is dried leaves have a problem. Their lignin is high. Nobody sits and cuts them up. They don't use fully dried leaves. They're half dry leaves. So all of that takes a very long time for the microbes to break it down.
Okay.
So that's the reason why we don't recommend any other. We say optimal, easiest, without any problem is coco peat. It needs to be dry.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ma'am, you can go ahead.
Yeah.
Place it in a prominent location like the garden
Volume, little volume, I think.
where it is visible and adds character to the landscape. Rains are good for it, so let it be outside. In this video, we're going to show you how to
The volume is very less, ma'am.
using this product.
The volume is low.
Leaf composter, microbes, water, a stick, and a glue. Step 1. Segregation. If you don't segregate, you cannot compost. Keep your plastic and diseased plants out of your garden waste. Most of those garden waste always comes from my garden with some tapping. You can check the manual or the website to find what can and cannot go into your leaf composter. Step 2. Add garden waste. I'm going to add garden waste into the leaf composter. I will add 2 tablespoons of microbes to get the compost going. And then I will add 2 buckets of water.
Volume is very less.
You need to add
That's all I can get.
Now I'm going to actually press this down. You need to do this as often as required. There's no need to do this. Step 3. Add the composter till it's full. Add microbes and press it down with a stick. Remember, there is no fear of mosquitoes. Lots of people ask us, will you get mosquitoes? The answer is no mosquitoes in compost. Step 4. Check compost and remove. Compost gets ready in the leaf composter after about 8 to 10 months. If you like, after 5 months. It looks dry from the outside, but inside the compost is happening. So you can open this door and check whether your leaf mulch is ready. If I start taking it out, deep inside, so you're getting leaf mulch inside. You can take out the leaf compost and transfer it into a leave-it pot. Keep it there moist before you use it. This is one of our older leaf composters. You can see how plants are growing around it. It looks very wonderful. So stop burning leaves and begin leaf composting in your house and in your neighborhood. You are now a certified composting.
Sorry, that video, that volume may have been little less, but basically all you need to do for leaf composting is add water daily, and that's it. In 6 months or 8 months, you'll get very good leaf compost. Now, this leaf compost is really great because it doesn't have any seeds. So it's very good for lawns. People use it for lawns, and it's also very high in nitrogen. So very good additive for the soil.
Suppose we want to use it as a mulch around the base of the trees, then do you still say it has to 8 months, or it can be much lesser than that?
Much lesser. You can have it much lesser. Then it will be like semi done. So then you can put it under the leaves, and it'll release all the nitrogen slowly inside.
Okay.
Madam,
Any
in
of
this one,
yeah
Madam,
yeah
in
yeah.
rainy season,
Yes.
the rain keeps on pouring, and the
Yes, it's
leaf
very good.
compost is good.
No,
We
it's
can leave
very
it like
good.
that.
Yes, yes. Because see, this leaf composter, if you noticed, it is actually raised above the ground, sir. You should put it on should on bricks or something like that, and raise it. The leg should be on very firm surfaces, not on mud, because with weight it'll all go in. So we have that in our manual. You have to put it on something that is like a concrete block, right? The legs. So then that water gets drained inside the ground. You shouldn't let water stagnate there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Any other question from the participants?
Important thing is if you're making a leaf composter yourself, make sure that you make the door. Otherwise, it's just like a pipe of mesh, which anybody can make. The point is the door, because you have to harvest it.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Deepak Kumar from.
Yeah,
Yeah,
can
tell
I
me.
ask one question? Neelam ma'am, can I ask question?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, you while you told about the test case and you said you can take a bucket and do it. And
Yes.
do not make a hole at the bottom.
Yes.
But making a hole at the bottom, it helps us to remove the excess compost tea, and it helps in decomposition faster, isn't it?
So the if you have got too much liquid, then you need a hole at the bottom, ma'am.
Yeah.
But
We always have a hole, too much of liquid in our composting bins. So
you're using plastic bins?
Yeah.
Okay. So then if you're using plastic bins and you want to use the tea,
no,
you want to use
I
that.
use the tea. Then I
So
use
that,
the tea.
yeah. So that's good. No, but I'm saying people who want to test may not know about compost tea, may not be really great gardeners. So for them, we advise them just for testing that they don't put a hole at the bottom, because if it starts leaking, there's another problem they have to face. So we make sure that they add enough coco peat. Once they add enough coco peat, then you won't get that excess moisture. You can control moisture with coco peat.
Can you tell me the ratio of by weight? If I put 2 kg of my green waste, how much coco peat is required by weight? Because usually people ask this question.
Yes. So when you have 2 kilos of organic waste, the first thing is you must put 1 kilo of organic waste first. Mix it. Ideally speaking, if you want to have no moisture, you should mix a 1/4 kilo of coco peat inside that 1 kilo. Mix it and put it into your bucket. Then put another 1/4 kilo into your other kilo and mix it and put it in the bucket. And then layer it with 1 fistful of coco peat on top. That's the proportion.
Thank you, ma'am. But I have one more question. What should be the biggest size of bin we can use at home? Like 50 liter, 60 liter, 100 liter, or what? Is there any?
So what happens is, if you, how many people, how much waste do you generate a day, ma'am?
Maybe 5 kg.
So 5 kilos, you need the Gobelmax volume. But the thing is that for that you need, you can't have it together in case you don't have enough aeration. Then you'll get a lot of water, because everything will compact. The weight of the waste is quite a bit. So you shouldn't, ideally you should not have one bin. You should have at least 3 bins.
No, I have number of bins.
How many?
I have, I think, 5 bins I'm using.
So then you're doing well, no ma'am? That's good.
Yeah, the bin size. I would like to know the bin size. How much max, size should it be?
Maximum size, okay. But see, there's no question of maximum size. It depends on what the aeration is, what the construction is. But for your thing, I'm assuming that you only have a plastic bin with no holes, right?
No, it has holes in it. It has a tap underneath.
Okay.
The excess water. Yeah, it has L type of irrigation also.
It has, okay. So then, you can do anything from 20 liters downwards, ma'am.
Downwards.
Yeah. 20 liters for every unit, for every, what do you call it, batch.
for every batch, 20 liters for every batch. That
20
is 4
to
days
30 liters
waste.
max.
That,
No,
that,
you can go see your because you're saying you've got 5 kilos, right? You can
uh,
make it 30 liters for 5 of these buckets. Then it should be okay.
okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
Asking a question. You had
Pardon?
somebody else, Deepak?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you were asking a question, I suppose. Do you have a question?
How to reduce in? Yes, ma'am. In compost.
Can you come again? We can't hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, how to reduce in alkalinity in compost?
Not able to hear. Can you type in the chat box? I mean, we can't understand your question.
Okay,
No,
ma'am.
I think he's trying to ask how to reduce the alkalinity in compost.
Pulpability.
Alkalinity.
Alkalinity.
Yes, ma'am.
You want to reduce alkalinity.
I can't hear him. Okay, when he types, I will just ask. Somebody is asking whether do you recommend shredding of waste for high quantum of waste for communities?
Yeah, see, you have to see from which perspective. Yeah, the technologist will tell you if you shred waste in for large communities, it's better. You'll reduce volume, all of that, right? But my thing is, who actually does the work? The work is done by people who have not a voice. They don't have any choice, and then they end up doing so much drudgery because nobody's considering how their lives are. So you want people to take buckets and buckets of smelly organic matter, put it into a shredder, clean that out, take it from there, put it into another machine or another composter. I think it's just too much work for actually no benefit. Organic waste will compost. You just have to design for more capacity. That's all. I feel that's my approach. But I know for a fact that many people have a different kind of view to this. So but I'm just sharing what I feel.
Okay. And suppose somebody doesn't understand the amount of coco peat that she should be putting in their wet waste. What would happen if we put little extra coco peat? Unknowingly.
No problem. Extra coco peat is not going to destroy you. In fact, it's going to make your life much easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And one more question Anika has is, does it have to be kept in a...
Yes, ma'am. One more question.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
How to reduce? Yes, ma'am. How to reduce in alkalinity in compost and how to reduce in salinity in compost?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alkalinity and salinity.
Salinity, ma'am.
Okay, so now this is where you have to go to a scientist, because they have to first do your test of your compost sample, and then they have to say, okay, how much is the percentage? What is the exact problem? You have to do some test. And then you have to find some person who can give you an additive for it. We do what you would call completely what our focus is, how do we convert waste into compost? Our focus is not what is the quality of the compost. That's not our area of focus. We are saying, first of all, people are not willing to convert waste into compost. Let's finish that problem. Then we'll come to quality of compost next. Because the minute you convert, get lots of people to start converting, then you can start saying, okay, can we now have standard measures? Can we have ways that people... And we found whenever we want to test compost and test a thing, it's a very, very expensive exercise. If I want to send one test to a lab, it costs me 4,000 rupees.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, one more question.
Yeah.
One scientists have to find out a cheaper way to test it, because if we want more and more people to use it.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's a difficult thing to test carbon. How to
Yes,
improve
ma'am.
NPK?
One more question.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
See, that depends on which way you have to do it, right? Say, if some of my friends who work with the compost, they have given me advice that they've given me an Adobe list of things that I must add to increase NPK and overall spectrum strength of the compost. So some farmers will tell you only put Panchagavya. Some farmers will tell you, some scientists will tell you, no, you have to put this so much. So I am, like I said, I'm not a farmer. I don't have any farming background. I'm not even a biologist or a scientist. So I am completely at sea on something like this. I'm not the right person to ask.
Okay. And somehow I feel this NPK kind of with very little knowledge of what I have been reading. Only NPK is not supposed to be yardstick for a fertilizer to be able to make the soil very fertile, as far as I understand.
So,
Because
that's what I'm saying. So, it's a very complicated. I think you need to know soil enough to be able to take those kind of calls, no? And
yeah,
and I think that the people who I talked to 2 or 3 people who are very good at this, and their thing is also the same thing. I mean, you have to test batch by batch, and you have to make sure that you get your batch testing in place.
actually, this is one problem that has been that is there, and which, like, yes, we should be doing precision farming and things like that. But if you want a farmer to be doing it, and if he has to be
Yeah.
using, composting in working. So instead of going into too much of NPK, even if they have been doing it otherwise, which is leaving the soil to itself and using only this kind of organic waste, I think things have been great. Is something like you're talking about GM and the other kind of seeds that we are talking about. So I know NPK is very important in the thing, but I think for small things like we are talking about a community garden and a park thing, it may be, as ma'am was telling, it may be difficult to get it tested every time. Scientists may be able to find something. That's what I would say. Yeah. Anybody next?
Hello, ma'am.
Madam, hello. This cocoa
Thank
pit,
you, ma'am.
it absorbs more water, I think, no?
Yes, sir.
And,
Yes.
And when it absorbs, I was told fungus gets created.
But
Nothing
it's
will
good,
happen.
sir. Yeah. No,
That's
it's
good.
good, sir. White fungus you'll get. That's
And,
good, sir.
And has anybody done rooftop composting?
Yes,
Because
sir.
in urban areas, space constraint is there, and also it is costly. Open space is very costly.
Yes,
And
sir.
rooftop, I think, especially
Yes,
in
sir.
flats.
Yeah. Our products, a big product that I showed you, that is put on roofs of many flats in Bangalore and in different parts of the country.
Okay, for that, that weight, if in construction, some weight and all has to be considered, I think, no?
Yes, sir. Because it is the same weight as like your water tanks, no?
Oh,
It's the same sizes. So then we are able to put it on terraces.
okay. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions from anybody?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. Hello, ma'am. Last, I wanted to ask you one.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, ma'am. I'm Dr. Neelam. I have done my PhD in agribusiness management. Usually, we are doing vermicompost university only. We have started our own nursery and vermicompost. So here, in the social, creating a social awareness, ma'am, we want to start, like as you said, it was a very good session. So first, I want to try it with myself, and so that we can ask the city people, so that they can do their own composting and all. So, ma'am, you have said we can start with a waste bucket only, whatever it is there in our house.
Yeah.
So that step by step, how can we make the people aware about that? Like you have said, but it was once again, if you repeat that step, what are the kinds of a step? So in a brief so that we will get, or if not, video is available or not.
Yeah, so you know, in
We
fact,
share with the people.
yeah.
Yes.
So we've made one video
Yes.
of using something in your
Yes,
house,
yes.
which I'll just share with you right now. It's exactly what you
Yes,
have
ma'am.
asked.
Please.
I'll just show you
Yes.
1 minute.
Yes.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt you. Ma'am, can you just switch on your video? Neelam ma'am, yours also video is off.
My video actually is on,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
I can switch on and switch off again.
Yes.
Madam, has anybody used bamboo composting? This one, sorry, bamboo. Just like bamboo structure to compose, because Neelam is a bamboo
Yeah.
expert.
Yeah, Dr. Yogananda, right, sir?
No, I am Prakash.
Oh, okay, Prakash. Okay.
Yeah, so we in fact, I think we should make one bamboo composter. Eventually, yeah, we should.
Yeah,
I'll just share that. I'll share that video that they did. Just 1 minute.
Yeah, sure.
The video is I'm unable to see the video.
Not able to see?
Just 1 moment. It's not come so far. Poonam, we can't see the video right now.
See?
Yeah. We can't see the video. Give just
1 minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not able to see it, is it?
Yeah.
You're not able to see it. Okay, so that for that person who'd asked, no, I'm just giving the link of the film. That's got a step-by-step thing of how to make a composter and do composting in your house. Very simply. Yeah?
Sure, ma'am. Please, ma'am.
So if you have any problems, then you can. You can. Yeah, if you have any issues with that, you can reach out to us at hello@dailydump. We have a WhatsApp number also. I'm putting it all in the chat.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Please.
Yeah. And the site also, you can look at for all the information that you may want. Everything is there. It's all free. And we also have a drawing for anybody who wants to make a leaf composter by yourself. Under the leaf composting section, we have a drawing that you can download. It's a technical drawing.
Thank you, ma'am.
And you can make it yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Selling the compost, has it been tried? I think Gautam is asking, has selling the compost been tried?
Yeah. So see, selling the composting has been tried, but it's very not viable in the sense you can't make lots of money with that unless you're doing tons and tons and tons of it. And it's a labor intensive process because you have to bring back a lot of compost. Nobody segregates fully. You have to hand pick all the plastic out of it. You have to hand pick everything else. We found all kinds of things in compost. Our people actually sit and pick it out. And then you have to mature it, and then you have to sieve it, and only then it's sellable in the market because people don't want to use mota compost. They want to use this fine grain compost. So it takes time, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of labor and a lot of transportation.
Okay. Any further questions from the guests?
Welcome, Gautam.
Okay. Any further questions? So I think before wrapping up, I would just like.
Madam.
Yeah.
Madam,
Please tell me.
1 minute. See this biogas.
Yes, sir.
Biogas also is used in the digesters.
Yes, sir.
Something and then the gas is generated, and
Yes,
the
sir.
remaining part is used as a manure.
Yes, sir. It is, sir.
Whatever. So now the cost, when I compare the cost of biogas generating and whatever equipments I use and whatever compost you have mentioned, some 9,000, 99,000. This one is there. Some plastics and steel. This one. When I compare that, it will be better. Biogas composter is better, or your composter is better.
Sir, it depends on where you're putting it. Like
Okay.
and it depends on which part of India you belong. I'll tell you something. Kerala, those people are very good at biogas. They're
Okay.
very good with waste. The adoption of best practice of waste is best in Kerala.
Oh.
Because they are more literate, I think. They understand the problem. Second is they have less land space. And they have less labor.
Yeah.
Put all of this together, there is a better adoption over there. In other parts of India, where people have too much labor, too much land and all that, so they just go and dump it, no?
Yeah.
So as a technology, apple to apple comparison, you can't do because the context changes that equation.
Okay.
So I keep telling people, don't worry about what the technology is. Figure out what you can do best. If you can manage a biogas well, please manage it, because both composting and biogas both need your attention daily.
Okay.
None of them are shut and leave technologies.
Okay. So actually, mainly your this one, whatever you said, for urban area it is good.
Yes,
for rural area.
This is our solution. The Daily Dump set of solutions is primarily for urban India. But we are finding in tier 2 cities, we are finding people are becoming more wasteful. And their cities are also getting congested. So they start needing this kind of thing.
Okay, madam.
There's one question from Nina. After a month of composting in the bin, you mentioned leave it for another month. Is the compost to be opened and transferred into another container, or
if you have another container, you can just leave this and start putting in another container. No? So you don't have to transfer. It depends on which method of composting you're using. If you're using my products, I can give a guidance. But if you're using some other products, you just have to have another bin. No? You can just put it in.
Okay. And so you need to open it from time to time in the other months, or you can just close it and leave it actually?
There you can just close it and leave. Nothing happens.
Okay. Poonam, we can't see you. Your video is off.
No, it's on.
Okay. I think you can maybe switch off. I mean, switch on and switch off. I think then it will come.
Okay.
Okay. So friends, before going to the end, I would like to tell you that I also was, probably in many of your position that you are today. And I somehow heard about Poonam and Daily Dump. And there was a workshop going on. And that was, I think, about 2010. And I went to the workshop, and what I saw completely changed my perspective of waste. And I bought a comb that she had, and that was like 1,000 rupees, I think, or 900 rupees at that time. And for 10 years now, over 10 years, I'm using the same, and that's a mud one. That's not even a plastic one. That's a mud one, and it is working. I have been composting my kitchen waste for all these years and getting very nutritious, good waste. And I use that in all my plants and vegetables, vegetable patches and everything around my house. So I am a first-hand believer that if we can compost our own backyard, I mean, we can keep our own backyards and kitchens clean by composting ourselves, then only we can have a Swachh Bharat, because Swachh Bharat cannot be a government program. It cannot be a BBMP program alone. So unless and until we as participants, actually do it on a daily basis, each person, one person, as Poonam says, one bag at a time. The way we generate waste, one bag at a time. We also have to do composting one bag at a time. And I think that's what is the crux of the conversation that we have been trying to bring to you people through these simple talks, that what we can do as a common man. And that's where Poonam's work is outstanding, because she's talking about every human being, trying to change the perspective of every human being towards waste. I think that's what is commendable. And I think that's also the way. And that's what COVID has shown us, because you might not be getting people who, and can you imagine the other workers and, we keep saying warriors, but do we also have our own responsibilities? Because as Poonam was telling us, that in villages, people don't waste. In even tier 3, 4, you can see cities, people don't waste. And I've also never seen wasting, even in my parents' house and grandparents' houses. It's only when you come to urban parts, people start having this problem of dealing with the waste, and they think it's something which is not to be done by them. And that is the kind of movement which Poonam has started. And I really salute you, Poonam, for your this one. I am also a converted person, so I know. So I really want to thank you for that. And I have been spreading this word about that we should be doing our composting ourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Poonam, any last word that you have to say before we?
Yeah, and if any of you guys are composting, I see some have said yes, they're composting using our products. We'll all love to get a picture of you next to your composter. If you can shoot a small film of yourself and talk about your journey, we are actually starting an entire engagement platform. We'd love to have your films and showcase you guys, because I think for us, you guys are our heroes. So please do send us, even you take a selfie kind of short film, and send us a photograph, send us your experience, tell us what worked, tell us what didn't work, cry on our shoulders, give us tali, whatever you feel like. But please send us, we'd love to hear from you. Yeah. And thank you, Neelam. Thank you for this great session. I wish everybody safety in this time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And
bye, guys.
Viewers, I thank you all from joining from all over the country and some few countries abroad. I had seen Nepal, people from Nepal, and Dubai, one school, and I think some people from Indonesia, and few participants from US joining us, and several colleges from Bihar, from all parts of the country, from small towns, and they have joined us. So I thank you all for joining us, and I thank Dr. Ganesh, Director of Aditya College of Architecture and Design, for hosting this session through their college platform. And I thank Shailja for helping us taking the questions from the audience. Thank you, Shailja, and thank you, Dr. Ganesh, and thank you, Siddharth, for coordinating this with us, the technical support. And guys, we have one more session coming up on the next Saturday, and that is with Dr. Vandana Shiva. And she would talk about little bit larger context of slow agriculture in this world of fast food and fast agriculture and intensive farming. She will be talking about slow food, slow agriculture, and healthy, healthy way of living and communities. And that is also with communities. So stay tuned. That's on 7th August, the next Saturday. And we will be sending out the invites and for registrations and all that. So we have taken you from food from Dr. Vandana Krishnamurthy last time, making your balcony garden. For the balcony garden, you needed these compost. So we bought you today how to make your compost so you can grow food in your gardens. And then we will be moving on to agriculture with communities and the biodiversity. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much, Poonam. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.